Hello, folks, and welcome to New Geometry. It's George Leoniak here, and I'm back with another new conversation with Jacqueline Ward. She goes by Q, so I'll be referencing her as Q throughout the remainder of this. Jacqueline's been, excuse me, Q. Q's been with me for two apprenticeships and one row course. This is an organization in northern Massachusetts, which I did a workshop for them over the winter. So she's been doing sacred geometry with me now for about 6 months, a little over 6 months. So it's been really inspirational for me to watch her progression in drawings and the colorful artwork that she does. So I have a little slideshow presentation of a lot of her work. But Q, let's hand it over to you and welcome you to this new conversation. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic, George. Thank you for inviting me to show my forms. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, awesome. It's really great to have you. So we're just going to start off by, these are some of my favorite videos to do. I have a number of them with apprentices in the past, all under the new conversation playlist. So I always like to just ask, well, how did you get into the sacred geometry? What kind of led your path to kind of following this pursuit out and get you drawing and where you're headed with it now? So let's start with that one, Q.
Oh, okay. Well, I started out actually, I watched a YouTube video by this scientist, Billy Carson, and he was interviewing Robert Grant, who wrote the book Philomath. And I was so fascinated by the conversation between the two about the golden ratio and the magic behind all of these numbers and geometry that I think I read the book twice. And then it just, by happenstance, my friend Beth, who lives across the hall from me, mentioned that a friend of hers, Jennifer, had learned of this course at the Rose Center. Jennifer never signed up for the course, unfortunately, but I did. And I thought it was going to be an excellent way for me to kind of transform the numbers and the formulas into something that was more personal and that I could relate to my right hemisphere rather than the left hemisphere.
Yeah.
And I signed up for the course, and I was amazed, first of all, by the prevalence of geometry in all of our natural environment. You talked about the plants and animals, the solar system, from the microcosm to the macrocosm. That drew me in immediately. I was so excited.
Yeah.
And including discussing your tracking background and how that had influenced your journey.
Yeah.
And so I signed up for the first course and drew a number of different figures. And initially, my interest was in using it as sort of a meditation practice, coloring the figures. I found to be very therapeutic and relaxing. And as I mentioned in class, it made me so happy to do so. And so I had never understood why adults would color. I had these coloring books, these mandalas, and I was like, that seems so odd to me. But now I get it. It's extremely relaxing, and there's something very transformative about just a practice of paying attention to the lines and putting together different colors. So I was hooked.
Yeah. Your journey with it has been so inspirational. And I had a feeling from that very first row, I was like, I think Q is probably going to go on and do the apprenticeships that I was offering. Because I think one of the first ones, I was like, Q, you got a lot of blank space on your wall behind there. And I felt like maybe that was a little bit of a hook there, because now we'll see in the presentation we've put out, you're getting many, many more of these colorful images and designs.
Yes.
All around you, which is just so beautiful. It's so heartwarming for me to see. And just wanted to back up a little bit. So in your relationship to watching the Robert Edward Grant video and the kind of the mathematical components, I know in the apprenticeship, you become much more familiar with understanding and working with the phi ratio, at least in the drawings, right? And kind of bringing a lot of those, conceptual concepts and back into a relationship with them through doing the drawing. So is that true for you? It seems like
that has absolutely been true, because Obviously, I enjoyed reading Philomath, Robert Grant's book, because I've read it at least twice. However, I felt it's something that was not, I didn't feel the connection that I was looking for. It was very, analytical, of course. And it was only when I started actually drawing the forms and the phi ratios, and they started speaking to me in a sense. I would dream about them. I would position my forms in my sight line. So when I woke up, they were the first things that I saw. And for many months, the first thing I would do when I got up was to start working on the forms, just coloring and meditating and thinking. And I would spend hours just working on them.
Now, I remember one story during the apprenticeship, maybe, did you call in to work sick one day or something like
I almost did.
Almost did, right? Because
just in case someone from my job is working. No, I was like, okay. And I was like, trying to think of a reason why I could just stay and play with the form some more.
I know.
I actually did go in.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah. I mean, you just really had a great joy and love for it. And just another story you told too that really warmed my heart was when you were saying you went and visited your daughter. She was she saw you and she was like, "You look so happy," and you were like, and your response just lit me up. What was it?
You were like, it's sacred geometry. I'm reversing the aging process, and that's how I felt. It's giving me such joy, George. You cannot even imagine. There's not a day that goes by, and I believe we started in January, and it's now August. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about sacred geometry.
Yeah. I love it. And you've really taken the forms and the patterns and you made them your own. We're going to show, I think this is probably a good time. We'll talk more about the apprenticeships as we go because we have those images to talk about them. But the joy that you brought to the group and sharing your work through it has just been so uplifting. So let's take a look. Now we've kind of laid these out in an order here. These were actually the first ones. You could describe them, Q, but these are from the very first row of 4-week course or 5-week course way back in January. So this is what we started out doing back from then. So this was the golden circle seed of life, which many of my viewers, if you watch my videos, we do that golden circles with the phi ratio circle. So it's right in there. But this was unique to me because I hadn't seen them laid out like this. So what was what were you doing here? What was the inspiration, the movement? The color patterns are amazing.
This is a very funny story. So as I was coloring, I actually didn't have any particular goal in mind. But after I colored the first circle in the middle, the one on the right.
This one here, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, right on the left. Yeah, I started seeing faces. And I thought, these faces look like masks. And so it made me wonder if there were masks throughout. And it's difficult to see now, but I started thinking about, the origin of species and perhaps if you were designing a new species, how you would want it to be symmetrical and how you would, have certain features. And so I started working from that premise and I started seeing first humanoid features. And then a friend of mine said, "Oh, I see a puppy." So then I started seeing puppies. You can't really see any of that now. But I wanted to preserve the circles. So I wanted to, so that's why I have, it's dark in some places and light in other places. I wanted to see how they were intricately connected to each other, but they also had their own essence. I don't know what word to use, but they were also, energies all on their own. So I don't know. I was just trying to preserve the form, but also create some kind of unity amongst the forms.
Oh yeah, I really get that sense, and it's like you really captured the life of that form in a way, because most of my viewers, I don't do a lot of coloring, and sometimes when I do, I do them around the house, but in my videos I show just the form, I talk about what's in it, And I don't, if I do a quick coloring, sometimes I just drop in some digital colors, but I was like, you brought these to life like I had not seen before. And that was just
Oh, wow.
really what I hoped would happen when people started working with this golden circle ratios in the seed of life pattern. And like, there's so many variations with all the little intersecting triangles and overlapping things. It's so many patterns within that. And it was amazing. You could see all those, it kind of brought you into that contemplative journey of like origin of species. How could you work with this? How could things bubble up from the life that were within these?
Yeah,
Uh, what a neat journey that sounds like.
it has been. And so the second one was a continuation of that, the
Yeah.
same thing.
Cool. Yeah, the great. Well, we got 11 slides here, so we'll go through them not too quick. But this was the first drawing from the apprenticeship with actually introducing drawing of the forms. The dodecahedron, icosahedron. We do a lot of that, all sorts of forms throughout them, and then you overlaid your unique drawing process on it.
Yeah, choosing colors is always challenging, and I just go with my instincts. People tell me to look at a color wheel, and it's like, well, I don't know. I'm just gonna put these colors together and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and you really you preserve the dodecahedron. You even look like you're working with a little shading there, kind of giving it a little 3D kind of look there with the edges on the side kind of sloping away. And once again, like there's that golden circle pattern with all those little segments that you can kind of color. Do you kind of this one's got a little asymmetry, but more symmetrical? I mean, the first ones here, there are a lot of asymmetry in color choices here. There may be an overall arcing pattern. Do you think about trying to make it symmetrical or
I
unsymmetrical?
do think about it, but then once you once you go off pattern, then you just try to recover somehow.
Yep.
But then I think I mentioned this in class, then I also have learned to appreciate the perfection and the imperfection.
Uh-huh. Oh, definitely, right? We talk about that one a lot, that's for sure. I think we talked about with one of the golden ratio circle drawings, how they pop out of the line, the circle pattern there. But once you add the color to it, remember, you can cover up a lot of those little imperfections. And it gives it the organic feeling of the life in the drawing, really. The little variations in that phi ratio circle are more true to life than the digital perfected drawings that I'm showing you in class and say, draw this, and it's not going to look exactly like that most of the time. But with time, you get better, don't you?
Yes, well, sometimes.
So,
That's the hope anyway.
do you find that your like attention when you're working on a drawing, like when you're really in the zone to when maybe you're not, you see how things work out in terms of a reflection of your own inner process? You mentioned transformative elements to working with the
Yeah,
signal.
it definitely depends on where I am in my headspace. Like the original ones from
This one's here. Yeah.
the first slide, yes, I had a lot more time, first of all, because I was on sabbatical. So I was able to just spend hours and hours and hours just contemplating and working, doing a little bit each day. I mean, it would take me days. I would work on these for days. But as time progressed, then I went back to work.
Yeah, well, you got a nice color sequence of how you work your progress, and I'd love to, when we get to that, I'd love to hear about the days you worked on this final drawing. But this one, I don't know if you have anything to say about these. These are just some examples of some of the line patterns that drawings that we do in here from different perspectives. This is just what I call the square view and the stellated forms in that two great stellate. I think that one was these two great stellated great dodecahedron
Yes.
from there. From the two views came up with such a really interesting pattern. So we shared that one, and this is a kind of overall line drawing and a kind of semi-looking Metatron's cube drawing there. So anything you wanted to say about these two?
Well, the second one, the one on the right,
Yeah.
on my right anyway, it felt to me as though it was, the circle, it felt like Earth or some planet, Earth.
Mhm.
And this was the Metatron's cube evolving from the planetary system somehow. I don't know. I was that's the feeling I got. It was very, very much a kind of cosmic feel for me as I
Oh,
was.
yeah. I love that. And, this is like a Metatron's cube reversion of that, really, because, I've incorporated the phi ratio circle in the middle to help the line spacing, which is giving you those pentagrams and pentagons, because you're really looking at the outer shape of an icosahedron there. So a true icosahedron. And we talk about that in apprenticeship, periodically. And in my videos, if viewers have watched that. So this was a similar looking drawing to that. But yeah, I totally get the sense of like there's that kind of double sphere around there, like the Earth and all the lines of connection that are inside there that kind of create something within that space.
Yeah, and the more I look at it, the more it starts to pop out like very 3D to me over time as I look at it.
Yeah, and I love the way you say you would put, you mentioned a little beginning of how you put the drawing across from you. You'd wake up, you'd see it the first thing in the morning. I mean, you really dove into this contemplative study, like immersed your surroundings in this, and it sounded like it affected you on many levels of your being into the dream space and everything, huh?
Yeah, I did. I was walking through the forest a couple of months ago, and I looked up at the trees, and they seem to have these like perfectly symmetrical this arrangement. I don't know if I included it in the photos I sent you, but these perfectly
Well,
symmetrical.
you didn't send any of the nature ones, but
Okay.
so I want to touch on that real quick too. It sounds like too that you had a more deeper connection relationship. I mean, maybe you've always had a deep connection with nature, but seeing it in a new way at least. Have you found that just transferring the drawings to relating to your natural surroundings or even human made surroundings, have you found some different change in your relationship to those things that sound like that?
Oh yes, I most definitely would in terms of my natural surroundings.
Yeah.
When I go out in the morning, I find myself looking for patterns in the plants and trees and flowers, and also thanking the trees and flowers for allowing me in their energy field. So I have a greater appreciation for nature and our relationship with it than I had in the
Oh,
past. So I'm very grateful for that.
oh, that's so cool the way the drawing patterns of just the straight lines and circles that we were kind of doing here kind of was transformative and eye-opening to see that in the natural world more and more.
Mhm.
I mean, we see shows or videos to talk about those connections, that there must be something to the application of doing the drawings that is the transmission of,
Yeah,
in a way.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, that's awesome. Anything on these? Now these are two like Icasi dodecahedron drawing. I mean, I look at these and see the forms in them. It's hard to know there's a form in this when you get. Um, yeah, that's what I love about the colored versions. It's containing those, amazing patterns in there. There's these forms that are in there, and then you make it something, alive. So what about what's going on with these? They're not from the same sequence.
It's really interesting because one is at the from the beginning of the apprenticeship, the one on the left, and the one on
This
the
one over here.
right. Yeah, the one that's the colorful one is from the beginning, and the other one is actually from it was one of the last drawings that
Yeah.
we at the end of the second apprenticeship.
Yep.
It's really interesting. As you say, you wouldn't know that they were the same or similar forms, but
Yeah, this inner portion right here, you could see the little triangles there, and top there is that pentagon, and you've got the same nesting. You got another smaller one in here, so it's amazing that there is this unified thing going on here, and it could look really different in the presentation. Yeah.
and I wasn't sure I was finished with this one, but after I erased all of the circles, I realized I really like the way it looks just as it is. I'm not sure. It's
Yeah.
almost like a spider's web
Yeah.
drawing.
Yeah, you kept the inner circles. That's pretty unique. It's kind of like a window into the pattern that was behind it. I really like that, because that's, I could see the outline of the outer circles, but when you just have them framed in the middle there, it's like I'm looking into that universal pattern behind all of it that helped create
Yeah.
this. That's so cool.
I wasn't sure why, but it's something about that just felt finished.
Yeah, totally. And this was a big culmination drawing. This was a big one. I love what you did with this one. This just looks fantastic. Wow. That's on your wall, right? Or
Yes,
yeah, you have a framed one of that.
I do. I do.
This one for the drawing with the group, they put a little challenge out. Well, not a challenge. I guess I challenged myself. I was going to take all the views that we did, the hexagon, pentagon, and square view, and do the square circle in here, and then draw in the pentagon, the pentagram in the middle, and do the seed of life. And then we did the 9-pointed star, 18-pointed star nested around there, and you colored that in beautifully. How was this one for you?
I love this one. This one's really challenging because it was important to me to preserve all of the different forms that I could. And
Yeah.
so I started out by coloring in the outside, the outer ring. And that took a really long time. And color selection was challenging on that one. And then I really wanted those aren't stellated. Are they stellated? I really wanted.
Well, these big ones here, the big panels. Well, they could be part of a form. We didn't really focus on that. We kind of just kept the line drawings in there so they connect out to the 18-pointed stars there. So.
But when I look at it from a certain point, certain perspective, it leaps out at me. I almost see them coming towards me sometimes when I out of the corner of my eye. So I really like this one.
The way you colored it really makes it pop off the page for me. And I see what you're saying about that star there in the middle. It kind of almost encases and pops off and kind of wraps everything else around it in a way. Yeah.
And also, again, it was something about the earth and the cosmos was calling to me in this one. That's why I have the sort of the earth in the background in the circle.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the squared circle. This one, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
so
square in the circle.
And so we've got this kind of matter and spirit kind of blended together because we put the squared circle into this drawing. Really, it's a unique drawing. And before doing the row and the 2 apprenticeships that we just finished the last one recently, did you do any drawing at all, sacred geometry? Because
I didn't do any drawing at all.
You must have done drawings for years to produce something like this. Come on, Q, be honest. Did you
I never considered myself artistic in that way. And so that was the other part of it that made me so happy I was like, oh, wow, look, I can draw. I can, color. I never, ever.
Yeah. That's incredible. In 6 months, this journey has opened you up to feeling that creative connection,
Yes, absolutely.
And, because look, you're going to get into drawing, like probably a form that maybe a handful of people have drawn on Earth. Because I discovered how to draw this one with the circle technique, the rhombic neocontahedron. There's no technique out there to show you to draw it. It's in mathematical textbooks, but from this perspective, from the golden circle seed of life, we did this in class, and this is a pretty amazing drawing.
I love this one. This one was one of the first ones that got me to thinking about the possibility of envisioning the 4th dimension. Those cubes coming, and I made the one in the bottom.
This one here, the one you left here? Yeah.
Yes, because it's like either pushing through or being pushed from the other side. I haven't figured that out yet, but I love this form. I love it.
Mine can make those go in or out, or those cube shapes, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My denim cubes.
Your denim cubes. Yeah, this is just great, and it was a pretty challenging drawing that we did, but we pulled it off, and you weren't the only one in the group who was new to drawing, really. And this is the second round. So just so the viewers know, my first apprenticeship, the kind of intro. I mean, they're always got advanced elements because I kind of go with what's happening with some of my interests in sacred geometry. Of course, I do it at the appropriate level, but this was a returning group of people who've worked with me at least with 2 to 3 apprenticeships at that point. So, you were all ready to kind of take on some more challenging work. So some of the images you see here are more within that second round. So the first 4 or 5 slides were the kind of first round of the apprenticeship. These are the second round. So this is also that Aeneacontahedron, which is 90-sided form, right? It is, I have one right over here somewhere. I did. I guess I don't have the little paper model right here. Anyway, we don't need to show it off, but the 90-sided form, and now this is from the pentagon perspective, meaning it's based on the 5 and 10-fold symmetry, same form as this one, right? But now it's just a totally different perspective. So what was your relationship to the cubes, those little cube shapes here? Did that pop out as much in this one for you, or?
Initially, it didn't. And I was inspired by is it Jennifer or Nancy? Who was somewhere in that class? I can't remember.
Nancy's usually posting very colorful.
Yes. So she had a very beautiful rendering of this form, and I was trying to emulate her, and I was like, I can't understand how she got the perspectives right. And so my first attempt on the left, and I remember when I showed it in class, you were like, oh, there's a lot of colors.
Wait. If I didn't say it like that or meant it like that, you might have heard it that way.
And I thought the same. And I don't know, I really didn't know where I was going with this. And then I started reading a book that was recommended to me by the other Jacqueline.
Yeah.
During the first apprenticeship about the 4th dimension. And so I started reading about tesseracts. And so I got up one morning and I looked at the one with all of the colors. And I thought, oh my goodness, I wonder if I can create a 2D version of a 3D version of a 4D tesseract.
Yeah, right.
And so that's my second attempt, and it's really about, those 8 cubes, only 7 of them are visible. The 8th one is invisible. It's in the 4th dimension. And how as the cubes are moved towards each other, they're tinted by each other, and then they come out in the original color on the other side. So I was trying to show how, the cubes are moving towards each other and being tinted by each other, and then coming out on the other side. I have 5 here. I'll just say 6 and 7 you can't see from this perspective. And then there's the 8th one in the middle. All of that was flowing through my head as I was.
I love getting a window into that process. I have to dive into that a little bit more myself because, sometimes I'll just grab a color because I think it might look good and there. And maybe you're really like thinking of the blending and the moving of the forms as they're going back and forth and blending into each other. I love that. That's so cool to hear that.
It was fun.
I think you'll have more to say on that in the next slide, but any more on these?
That's good.
Yeah, because this one kind of, I'd really love to hear your journey with this one and just, how it went about, like a few day progression or however long it took to work with this form.
Well, this one took weeks.
Oh my gosh, really?
I put it away and then would come back to it. I love the original form, just the black and white one class. And there were so many parts of this I wanted to preserve and highlight. And so I just started from the center and worked my way out. So the second slide or the second view, I started just from the center. I just did that and put it away for a few days. And then I remember you made a comment in class about the arrows. And I was like, okay, I want to
these here, right?
Arrows, yes. And so my second attempt, I made sure that I outlined the arrows in a way that they would pop.
Yeah.
and then I put it away for a while.
And you came back in and did this one here.
Yes, I came back and did that one. And then it was like, well, it started to fade a little bit for me. So I needed some contrast, I thought. And so I added the brown. For some reason, the brown always helps me to focus in on a particular outcome. So I added brown,
Mm-hmm.
and then that didn't help. So again, I wanted to preserve the form as much as I can, but also bring out all of the layers of it at the same time. So at the end, I'm not even sure that I'm finished with this one, but
Well, you still have some, white space, a few little spots there. So,
Mhm.
sometimes I'll stop the coloring at that phase and just be like, that's good. I like the white. It helps contrast there. It helps outline things. Or I, I don't, I guess I don't take the long time that you do in that. So, it's nice to hear you say that you might come back to this after looking at this and put it out in front of the bed again when you wake up. With more to say.
Yeah, this one was a lot of fun. I think I worked on this one longer than any of the other ones.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I can't believe, this is from a whole new circle pattern that I developed. This I called it the new creation. I think I have a video on it, KNEW new creation. In one of the videos, maybe Golden Frontier, Sacred Geometry, something like that. I talk a lot about this, but it's a very different golden circle pattern. It's more of a rosette of circles around there, and it still has this golden circle seed of life, but the outer ring kind of gives it more of this flowery appearance in this 12-fold symmetry. So
Mhm.
it was really great to share this with the group and construct the form, which I'll show at the end too, but I'll let everybody know that this is the form that it was designed on. You could see the form is right there in there, and you could see where the triangular shaped arrows. Well, let's switch it this way because those are where they are. Triangular arrows would be going in along these sides towards the central point here. So a
Mhm.
lot of the things that we're drawing in class, a majority of them, are actually these 3D structures, that you basically pull right off the page. And it's a star tetrahedron in the middle of this, meaning I can open this top up, and I'll do this at the end, and you can take out the tetrahedrons that are in this and the octahedron. So it's really encapsulating the classic star tetrahedron in this golden matrix that I call it. And that was what the video is about, because these are all golden ratio cube octahedrons and things like that. So I mean, and then to share this and to see you do this to the coloring of it is just so amazing for me to see, And
It's amazing to me. I think it takes if not genius, near genius to even conceptualize these things. And this is a new form.
it is a new form, and it overlays right on to the drawing. So it's like in this, we always say the sacred geometry, the drawings contain this universal pattern of creation and all these forms that can be created from it. It's like, wow, well, there it is. It's like right in there. I'd never seen this anywhere else before, but all the phi ratio angles. Look at that. Looks like a bird flying off into the distance.
Yeah.
So there you go. You've got all sorts of animals showing up and things. It's so amazing. But let's look at this, because this is from the kind of beginning to end transition here.
Mhm.
From the very start to what it came out to be for now. It looks like there might be some spark of curiosity of what else can happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the way that it came out. I'd actually wish that my form, my little white paper model, looked like this colored.
Oh,
maybe I could
yeah, send it to me.
send you the components, and you can color it in and do the 3D version of that colored like that. That would be
That would
amazing.
be fun.
That would be amazing. So let's we have a few other things here. It's just, that's really been just great to witness on the journey. It just shows like how much you just love this work. I mean, you're putting these in frames and decorating your house. So,
Yes.
you know,
I had all white walls. Now I have geometric figures everywhere. It's
and how does
all,
that feel that they're ones that you have done,
when I walk in my door into my house every day and I see these forms, it just makes me smile. It just makes me so happy.
Oh, that that makes me so happy to hear. I mean, you take such pride and joy and love for this, and to have yourself surrounded and all that, it
Yeah.
just sounds like you're saying just so uplifting. And I couldn't ask for more of like sharing this with other people to learn to start drawing. It's just so rewarding for me to hear how impactful that's been. So here's a few more other examples of the first initial drawings here and some of the other ones that came along. I don't even think you put these in the slideshow. The
Oh, maybe not.
yeah,
And
the,
they want that one that the arrow was on. That's one of my favorites also.
oh, right down here.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's that one. Did you come up with that? I don't remember we did that one.
I believe we did we? I don't remember. I'd have to look at my notes.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, and that's the thing that's so fantastic about this is hopefully throughout the work that we've done together, it feels like you're not just repeating what I've been doing, it's giving you just a direction and then you take it and make your own. And all the videos recorded, so you could always go back and look and see a technique. You have all those if you want to reproduce it, but then you can start to play with the drawings a little bit more on your own and figure out what you want to construct with them. And that's really the purpose, is just to provide some direction with a drawing in class and then see where you run with it.
Mhm.
So it's
It's
just
been
so awesome
amazing.
to see.
It has been an amazing journey. I'm so grateful, George. I'm so
Oh
grateful
yeah,
to you
thank you,
for
thank you.
providing these apprenticeships for us.
Yeah, I'm very honored to do so. So that's all we have for the slides. That was awesome to run through. Let's just take a minute to hop back here and see if there's any closing things we want to end with. I know for me, Q, did you want to add anything else? I feel like we covered so much. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Is there any other things that you wanted to add?
I just wanted to add for my fellow apprentice mates that it was such a great journey building community with 5, 6, 7 people throughout the 6 months. And I am going to miss you all. They're so wonderful, beautiful. Everyone coming with a different perspective, different life experiences. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for saying that. In such a short time, we were able to develop nice bonding and connection through each week getting together and sharing with the drawings and people posting the emails to one another, getting creative inspiration from one another. Really, really fantastic.
It was.
Um, so I will be doing another, coming up apprenticeship with beginners coming up in September 5th. So if you're interested in, inspired to kind of get into drawing and learning sacred geometry, please check it out. I'll have the link provided in the description here on the YouTube channel, the New Geometry Apprenticeship. So please check that out. And I have a Patreon, which helps people draw, and that also meets once a month. So we have a live Q&A drawing session where I always do a little something in the Patreon. And that's a real simple way. I have a guide that I'm writing, and there's lessons in there that walk through the basics, and I do writing. So that's something else to check out. So I'm really just trying to provide a lot of different ways and options and resources to get involved. Many of my videos that I do are pretty technical and advanced, but really when we get down to the drawings of things, they might seem technical, but I could really take someone from little to no experience to producing work that like Q is doing here.
From zero experience.
Zero experience. I didn't want to say little to no. I mean, but way back in the distance, you were probably coloring some point. So we have a little bit of experience in there. Yeah, here's that form again, just up close and personal. Really amazing setup. We could draw it from this view. I could have showed you that way. There's so many different ways to look at it and so many things in it, and it opens up to reveal the different geometric forms that are inside it, the octahedron at the middle and the star tetrahedron in the middle. So just really cool to share the journey with you, Q. And we're going to stay connected, and always send me the drawings. But I really appreciate you coming on, and it was just a fantastic to have you and share that inspirational journey and bring that joy to the viewers here. So thank you for doing that.
Well,
And
thank you, George. I enjoyed it.
great, I'm glad. Okay, everybody. Well, that's it for New Geometry. If you like the channel and everything, please subscribe, and we'll become a little more great content and maybe some more of these new conversations. Well, definitely more of these new conversations in the future. All right, see you, everybody. Much love. Have a great day.
Much love.